A foldable phone this heavy can snap a cheap magnetic car mount clean off your dashboard mid-drive. Before you plug in the first charger you find, here's what actually holds the Z Fold 8 Ultra steady, and what leaves it dangling at every red light. And I'll tell you right now, we're not ranking these by wattage numbers on a box. We're ranking by whether they actually hit the Fold 8 Ultra's real charging ceiling, or just get close and call it a day. One more thing before we get into it. The biggest number on the box is almost never the number that reaches your phone. That trips up more foldable owners than a cracked hinge does. Starting at number 4, with the pick that'll charge your phone just fine, but treats it like an afterthought. Number 4 is the Belkin USB-C car charger, 75 watts with 30-inch retractable cable. On paper, 75 watts total output sounds like plenty of headroom for a phone that only needs 45 watts. And functionally, it is. The retractable cable's own port delivers up to 60 watts, with PPS support across a 5 to 16 volt range, which comfortably covers the Fold 8 Ultra's charging profile with room to spare. That's actually more relevant than the 75 watt figure printed on the box, since that total number only shows up if you're running the cable and both extra ports at once. For a single phone setup, what matters is that the retractable cable alone clears the 45 watt bar with margin left over. The build quality backs that up too. The housing is made from at least 90% post-consumer recycled plastic, it carries a $2,500 connected equipment warranty, and Belkin backs it with Smart Protect over-voltage protection, so you're not risking your $2,000 plus foldable to save a few dollars on a charger. There's also a charging status indicator light built into the housing, so you get a quick visual confirmation that power is actually flowing before you pull out of the driveway. Here's where it falls short for this specific phone. It's a single cable unit. There's a second USB-C port and a USB-A port on the housing itself, but they only hit 30 watts and 12 watts respectively. So if you're charging a passenger's phone or a dash cam at the same time as your Fold, only one device on this charger is getting fast charge speeds, and it's whichever one you plugged into the retractable cable first. Run all 3 ports simultaneously, and the split gets even tighter, since the total across the housing caps out well below what each port can do on its own. Verdict: it's the right power delivery for the Fold 8 Ultra's wired ceiling, but it does one job, cable charging, and does nothing about actually holding a phone this size steady in your car. Fine as a glove box backup, not the centerpiece of your setup. Number 3 keeps that same great numbers, wrong shape for a foldable problem, just with a lot more ports attached to it. Number 3 is the CHIPOFY 300-watt USB-C car charger with 6 total ports, 4 USB-C and 2 USB-A. This is built for people who need to run an entire car full of devices off one cigarette lighter socket. It supports PD 3.1, PD 3.0, PPS, QC 3.0, SCP, and AFC protocols, and has a 6-layer safety system covering over-voltage, over-current, overheat, short circuit, surge, and overload. The housing is PC and fireproof rated material, and CHIPOFY explicitly lists Samsung Galaxy Ultra devices among its supported phones, charging them through its PPS-capable ports at speeds up to 45 watts, depending on which port you use. One of the 2 USB-A ports also runs QC 3.0 at up to 60 watts, which is worth knowing if you've still got an older Android device or a power bank that only accepts USB-A input. A lot of 6-port chargers quietly downgrade their USB-A output to save room for the flashier USB-C specs, and this one doesn't. There's also a soft blue LED light built around the port cluster, which sounds like a gimmick until you're trying to plug in at night without fumbling for the right port by feel. Here's the catch worth knowing before you buy this one for a Fold specifically. With 4 different USB-C ports rated at different individual wattages, one hits 140 watts for laptops, while the others range from 30 watts to 35 watts. You have to know which port you're using because they're not identical. Plug your Fold 8 Ultra into the wrong C port and you might land closer to 30 watts instead of the full 45 watts the phone can actually take. And the housing only marks ports with small printed labels, easy to miss when you're reaching over blind while driving.
The port cutouts are also standard depth, sized for typical car charger cables. If you're running a thick braided USB-C cable or a rugged cord with reinforced connector housing, double-check its seats fully. Connectors with bulky molded ends tend to sit proud of the port in a tightly packed 6-port cluster like this one. And like the Belkin, this is strictly a charging brick. No mount, no clamp, no arm holding your phone anywhere near your eye line. So you're still pairing this with a separate holder if you want the phone visible while it charges. Verdict: it's the most power-flexible charger on this list, and a genuinely smart buy if your car doubles as a family charging station. For a Fold 8 Ultra specifically, it's overkill in total wattage, but you need to pick the right port to actually use that power. Number 2 finally starts thinking about the phone itself instead of just the outlet, but it still leaves something on the table. Number 2 is the SUPERONE 99-watt car phone charger with retractable cables. This is a 6-in-1 setup: a PD 30-watt USB-C retractable cable, a 12-watt USB retractable cable for Apple devices, 3 additional 15-watt USB-C ports, and a 12-watt USB-A port, all built into a compact housing measuring roughly 2.14 by 1.31 inches with an exposed height of about 3.17 inches. The dual retractable cables, each extending about 80 centimeters, mean you and a passenger can both plug in without digging through a cable bag. And the compact footprint means it doesn't eat up console space the way some multi-port bricks do. That combination of 2 built-in retractable cables plus 3 extra ports is genuinely rare at this size. Most compact retractable chargers pick one or the other, either giving you a couple of built-in cables and nothing else, or a bank of open ports with no cable included at all. Here's the honest catch, and it matters specifically for this phone. The fast-charging retractable cable on this unit is capped at PD 30 watts. The Fold 8 Ultra's wired ceiling is 45 watts, so this charger will charge the phone reliably and noticeably faster than the old Z Fold 7's 25-watt standard. But it stops short of unlocking the phone's full charging speed. If you road trip often and want the fastest possible top-up between stops, that 15-watt gap adds real minutes, especially on a battery this size where every watt below the ceiling stretches the full charge time out further. The other 3 USB-C ports on the housing are rated even lower, at 15 watts each, so they're built more for a passenger's phone or a set of earbuds than for a second fast charging session. It's also worth noting this listing doesn't currently show CarPlay pass-through support. So if your setup depends on a wired CarPlay connection through the charging cable itself, confirm that before buying. This one appears charging only, with no mention of data transfer or CarPlay functionality anywhere in the product description. Verdict: this is the strongest all-around multi-device charger on the list for everyday use, and it'll charge your Fold 8 Ultra meaningfully faster than its predecessor. It just isn't the charger to reach for if you specifically want to max out this phone's new 45-watt ceiling. Before we get to number 1, here's the pattern interrupt. Every charger so far solves speed. None of them solve the actual problem from the intro: a phone this size and this heavy sliding around your car. That's exactly the gap number 1 fills. Number 1 is the JDHDL wireless car charger mount with dual-coil 15-watt charging and a rotatable head, listed as compatible with the Galaxy Z Fold line through the Z Fold 7, plus the S22 through S25 series and iPhone. Since the Fold 8 Ultra keeps the same 215-gram weight and roughly the same footprint as the Z Fold 7, according to pre-launch leaks, this mount's clamp and coil sizing should physically accommodate the new phone even though the listing predates its release. That's a mechanical fit assumption based on the unchanged dimensions, not a manufacturer claim, so treat it as reasonable rather than guaranteed until JDHDL updates the listing. This is the only product on this list that actually holds your phone in place while it charges, which circles back to the exact problem from the intro. A heavy foldable resting on a flat wireless pad with no clamp is the setup that ends up sliding into your cup holder at the first hard stop. The dual-coil design also matters more than it sounds. A single coil pad only charges reliably if the phone lands in one narrow spot, while dual coils give you a wider effective charging zone, which is useful on a phone this large, where the internal wireless receiver isn't always dead center. And the rotatable head lets you switch between portrait and landscape without unclipping the phone and repositioning it by hand, which is the kind of small thing you don't notice until you're doing it one-handed at a stoplight. The honest catch: the dual coils here output 15 watts wireless, and the Fold 8 Ultra's wireless ceiling is up to 20 watts,
but only when paired with a Qi 2.2 certified charger and a magnetic case, since the phone doesn't have built-in charging magnets. Realistically, most Fold owners without that specific magnetic case combo won't hit more than the 15 watts this mount delivers anyway, so the gap matters less than it looks on paper. What matters more? Confirm your phone case is under roughly 5 millimeters thick before mounting. Verdict: this is the pick that actually treats a foldable like a foldable. It holds the phone, rotates for your viewing angle, and gets you dependable, if not maximum, wireless charging without a cable to manage every time you get in the car. Quick recap by what you actually need. If you want the fastest possible wired charging and don't mind a cable, the Belkin is your fastest single-port option. If your car needs to charge multiple devices at once, the CHIPOFY gives you the most ports and flexibility. If you want dual retractable cables for you and a passenger without hunting for the right port, the SUPERONE is the easiest daily setup. And if you actually want your Fold 8 Ultra held securely while it charges, which, if you watch the intro, is probably why you clicked this video, the JDHDL is the one to buy. Links to all four are below, in the exact order we covered them. If this helped you avoid a dashboard disaster, subscribe for more before you buy videos.